evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us on yet another episode of our Import Export Advisory series. This episode is very special to us for two reasons. One, we this is our 25th episode, and we did not assume that we would be completing 25 episodes so quickly. And with so many dignitaries who have come in and given us so much information about how the domain works and how the industries move. Secondly, we have Sri S.M. Chaturvedi, who has been there for aeons of India's progress in the import-export segment. So today he will speak to us. He will give us the wisdom he has gathered over his career with the biggest of organizations that this country has. Sir, welcome to you.
Thank you. Well,
So, Meenal, you take over. Audience, I will be monitoring your comments on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you have questions, please post them, and we will have Sir answer these questions for you. Thank you, Meenal. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. A very warm welcome. Today is our Silver Jubilee episode on Export Import Advisory Series podcast. And we have a very special guest, Mr. H.M. Chaturvedi sir, live joining us from Mumbai. His presence itself is a big thing for us. With his knowledge and his rich experience, today we'll be gaining a lot more. And in past 6 months, I would just share a glimpse of what we have touched upon and what we are trying to do again in future. So 25 episodes, as Chaitanya rightly mentioned, we never thought of will complete so quickly, but we thought that how we can bring value for our audience in the export import domain. And I keep sharing this to everyone that this is not a podcast where you will find things which are there in Google and you can find and search. These are the real life insights, practical experiences which we will be having listening from our experts who are there in this domain, right? And so till date we have touched upon various topics like mover, AEO, the customs law, the deemed exports, GST refunds in one of those areas, then freight forwarding, logistics, key performance areas, then legal documentation, e-commerce exports. No, the list is very long. I think we should also document and summarize this as to what we have been achieving out of this 25 episodes. And the future idea again is we have such more people who can come and guide our audience, and also with me, Parth, Chaitanya, who are there on toes, doing things on the ground, understanding the real life issues. So we'll keep bringing the best for all of you, so that not a single minute of yours is wasted when you are watching us live. Also, I would like to encourage you to ask more questions and come up with suggestions on more topics which you would like to listen from our side, right? And today's topic has been suggested by Sir, international marketing in Indian context. Before we dwell deeper into this topic, I would like to introduce Sir. He has been, no, I would give this title to Sir. He's the Bhishma Pitama of this domain because he's there in the export import domain since almost 5 decades. He has total, like in 17 years, he has worked in corporate as a secretary, manager, and executive director with a leading public limited companies, and over 36 years of practice come consultancy experience in the areas of foreign trade policy, customs, industrial policy, exchange control regulations, law of weights and measures, and even GST and corporate trainings. He is also being visiting faculty with AMA, Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, again Indian Academy of Management, Mumbai, various organizations, FIO. I think the list is so long that I can go on for just naming his clients and the organization he has served for more than half an hour. So he has touched lives of many exporters, importers, done many in-company training programs for various large, medium corporates, and I don't know actually what more to add, but I am so privileged and falling short of words to uh, like address what sir has been doing, and he has been guiding us thoroughly. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here today.
My
Thank
pleasure,
you.
Meena. And very good afternoon to all my participant friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So this topic I'll go into. We have chosen this topic, international marketing in Indian context. So why? What's the rationale behind this topic? Let me briefly explain you. So when we talk about international market, the context of Indian economy is very important because the international market itself is highly competitive, and again coupled with good quality products which are being offered cheaper by other countries. So the context is very important, that how do we present and market our products internationally such that we get the best out of it. So to market products internationally and like again successfully, an international marketer or exporter from India, besides the product and the domain knowledge of international markets, he also needs a different set of skills which are often found lacking. So this leads to high development cost of export business, besides long gestation period and low profitability. So to overcome such issues, which Sir has seen in his career till date, he has suggested that okay, these are the common areas which the exporter or the marketer, international marketer, face challenges, and how best we can help sharing insights on this topic. So, sir, so for the first question for you is like, what is a normal and the first reaction being faced by an overseas buyer when he's approached by an international, like Indian
See, it
marketer?
is like this that, to be very frank, international buyers, firstly, they are very apprehensive about Indian exporters. You know, and their questions are firstly, I don't know you, I do not know you. Then I obviously do not know your organization also. Who are your customer? What is your customer base? I don't know if you happen to tell them that you are first time I'm an exporter or I'm a new exporter. It is something like saying, a surgeon qualifying, and if he tells you that I'm performing first operation on you, obviously you will run away. So same thing happens with the Indian exporter. Because over a period of time, somehow we acquired a bad reputation where international buyers find us difficult to believe. So that is the first challenge we face. That, as I always use the word, I'm a different Indian marketer. So to convince on that area, that becomes a big challenge.
Right. So in like this is the challenge which I have identified. But according to you, then what are the key knowledge areas or key skill sets which an international marketer has to master such that this challenge is being overcome, and also uh, the marketer feels welcome, and even the buyer or the vendor in the overseas market feels that okay, this is the guy I should go ahead with.
See, I'll just take you a little bit to the background on this issue, and
Hmm.
that is a problem, I would say, in our country. Firstly, at our academics level, there is hardly any coverage given to international business. It's a totally neglect
Yes.
area. Common perception, even with educated classes, that import export means documentation and procedure. Right? That is one part of it. Secondly, international marketing as a subject. Maybe, in some MBS levels in the fourth semester, there is some 100-mark question and all that. And I'll share my very hilarious experience with you about teaching this international marketing. Couple of years ago at Narasimha Institute of Management in Mumbai, in other cities you call it MBA, in India, Mumbai we call it MMS, Master Management Studies. So as a visiting faculty, I was asked to deliver some sessions on international marketing. Now in all the syllabi, normally this subject is kept in the fourth semester. By the time fourth semester and MBA comes, everybody has a letter of placement in his pocket. So for him, it's just a formality that he has to pass through this exam with project and assignment and all that. So fine, I went there. There were 60 students, anxious, probably more out of anxiousness than the interest in the subject. So 10 minutes passed. Then everybody started looking backward, forward, sideways. They started rubbing shoes on the floor. Okay, what is this subject? Then thereafter, the bottles of Bisleri started passing hand from one person to another person. And within half an hour, you could see the restlessness on their faces. Now, suppose this breed of masters in business administration, you induct them into international marketing. Obviously,
Hmm.
reconciliation will be a big problem. So, what we have to do to meet the challenge of international marketing, and our export can grow multiple times if only we come out of this, wrong feeling that international marketing is a documentation and procedure.
Hmm.
Then I think right from grassroots level, we have to have good exposure to international marketing. Like for example, you will find, with due respect to our accommodations, in any no IMM or any institute of management, you will see they are ever organizing a program on anything to do with international business.
Hmm.
Now that apart, when we come to real working, a typical scenario in Indian corporates when now suddenly one goes into export is that people, organizations are into export. It has become a glamorous word. That yes, we are
Hmm.
into export.
Correct.
So it adds to your credibility if you are exporting.
Hmm.
Now, what happens when this type of situation arises? Normally, marketing in our country is kept by the owners of the company.
Hmm.
They don't hire or they don't trust the professionals. They feel he will
Hmm.
take our buyers away and someday become our competitor. That's a common
Hmm.
belief that they carry. But okay, as an international marketer, assuming that we are a professional or even I am an exporter and I have to market my product, what are the different key areas I have to have besides product knowledge and market knowledge? First and
Hmm.
foremost is, though many people may not like it or believe it, is our foreign aid policy.
Hmm.
The common belief about foreign aid policy is that it is a documentation and procedure where you take some advanced license, you take EPCG license, redeem it, and matter ends there. But if you have to really arrive at a effective pricing and ensure legal compliances,
Hmm.
then every international marketer has to come to grip at least first two chapters of foreign aid policy, that is chapter 1A and chapter 2 to begin with, and same chapters under handbook of procedure as well.
Hmm. Correct.
But the funniest part you will find in Indian organizations, even foreign aid policy book will not be there.
Hmm.
So when you ask about the book, they say, sir, it is available on internet. Now when you say, okay, internet, but I said then, internet is always referred or link is always referred on need-based basis. It's not a continuous process of education.
Hmm.
What you get on internet is the information, not the knowledge. And we mix up these two concepts.
Hmm.
So many, processes or many incentives, benefits, they are part of foreign aid policy. And if you have to arrive at a pricing where we'll be able to compete with other competing countries in the world, we
Hmm.
have to have a sound knowledge on foreign aid policy. Like you make a mention about deemed export, for example, in the past you have done a webinar. Now,
Correct.
how important it is as an export incentive, people don't realize.
Yeah.
Second key knowledge area where again we have to come to terms with is customs.
Hmm.
Again, it is believed that customer is passing a shipping bill, doing documentation, engage a CHA, send the container out. But in custom, there are newly emerging knowledge areas, like say example, exporting to countries under free trade agreement.
Right.
That helps in a very big way in arriving at your export pricing. Duty structure. If you understand duty structure of our country,
Hmm.
understanding classification etc. in the buyer's country becomes a child's play. Another important area as an international market I have seen marketers missing out is correct classification for HS purpose, HSN code purpose.
I
How
think
they have
that's a big challenge. Sorry,
correct.
I couldn't
Yeah.
resist. Yeah.
So what the people do, they either go on historical basis or
Hmm.
they will ask CHA, "Wait, मेरा product का HS code क्या है?" Now,
Hmm.
if sometime buyer says that okay, you change the HS code, then our international marketer doesn't know whether it can be changed or cannot be changed.
Correct.
He says, okay, if I need an order and I have to meet my targets, let me try
Hmm.
out what is there. Anyway, after 1 or 2 years, I will not be in this organization. And a very funny incident I came across in one company, a leading exporter of pharma company.
Hmm.
I explained everything in company training program about HS code and everything. And after 6 months, I went there. So international marketer who was looking at Bangladesh as a market showed me the document. On document I found it was mentioned HS code as for India and HS code as for Bangladesh. So I
Hmm.
asked him, HS code for the same product can't be different for India and can't be different for Bangladesh. He
Hmm.
said, no, sir, why I wanted this HS code? I said, did you try to convince him that why this HS code is there? He said, no, no, our finance people told me that other countries we are using this HS code. It helps us to claim duty drawback and other export incentive. So maintain this, and if buyer is happy and comfortable with other HS code, you indicate that also. I said, look, my dear friend, you are doing something illegal, something wrong.
Correct.
Tomorrow, customer will catch you that you have claimed extra excess incentive
Hmm.
by changing the HS code depending on the country. He said, it can't be changed. And he was just nonplussed, something, क्या हो गया एक digit change किया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
Right.
So that is custom related areas. Then there are, to reduce the landed cost of your inputs if you are using a manufacturer of export
Hmm.
product.
Hmm.
You have to be
Correct.
familiar with various exemption notifications
Hmm.
of the raw material and components which you are importing somewhere exemption facility may be there. Now all these are specific areas which only international marketing person can know or the organization can know. An
Hmm.
external consultant or advisor, he cannot guide you or advise you on that part.
Hmm. Correct. So I think what I'm trying to say is, apart from the product, policy knowledge is extremely important, and the more you are well informed, you'll be able to take better decision in terms of your pricing of the product and be more competitive. And again, I think that this factor would be a very important factor when you talk about this to your overseas buyer vendor, because
Right.
they will also appreciate this kind of knowledge, that okay,
Very
I
true.
am dealing with somebody who is quite knowledgeable, who is quite trustworthy. Because then when you talk in this language of the policy side, you want to be abiding by the laws of both the nations. Again, this would be a good point to establish a good credential in front of the international buyer.
Very true.
Correct, no? Yeah.
And there is another area which I found in all organizations missing, that is
Hmm.
knowledge on compliance under our FEMA regulations.
Yeah.
Particularly, master direction on export is such a vital item of knowledge for our international marketers, particularly in Indian context.
Hmm.
Whether it comes to extending credit, seeking extension, like export of free trade and technical sample, for example, is a
Correct.
nightmarish experience. Closure
Hmm.
of EDPMS, accounts people or finance people do not know. And
True.
only when banks notice comes that your EDPM is open, then the realization comes, "Arey, re, kya ho gaya?" So,
Correct.
those kind of areas, international marketer in India typically has to know, which may not be obligatory for marketers of other countries.
Correct. Very true. Correct. So again, sir, like with all these knowledge areas and understanding, can you throw some light on this? That how is Indian context in international marketing a little different, or if you can
Yeah.
share your thoughts on that?
See, Miguel, there are many factors in this regard. First is in our country, export culture is lacking because
Mm.
domestic market is large enough, is a profitable market. And now slowly competition is emerging. So there
Mm.
is total dearth of or total lack of knowledge as far as export culture in the organization is concerned.
Mm.
You might have heard that English saying, if you want to go global, think global first. In
Mm.
India, we think local and try to go global.
Yeah.
And then there is a mismatch.
True. True.
So that is one part of it. That what is
Mm.
the demand? Is not buyer is looking only at a cheap product.
Mm.
Buyer looks for so many things like service, after sales service, and so many areas.
Mm.
But
Mm.
probably in India, those concepts in local market do not matter.
Correct.
Second is local business environment.
Mm.
In international business, gestation period is long.
Mm.
In local market, it is not so. So you need a lot of patience. And
Yeah.
patience is a casualty nowadays. So
Right.
that is another reason. Third
Mm.
is if badly our industry as a consumer, etc., we lack quality awareness.
Mm.
We more look at price rather
Mm.
than pay attention to quality.
Delivering
And
quality.
it is for this reason, that Chinese products find favor in Indian market. Because,
Mm.
like to take simple like example from our day-to-day Diwali lighting. कि ठीक है 5 दिन चल गया तो ठीक है otherwise what difference it is going to make buy
Correct.
expensive Indian item.
Correct.
Then international business environment we do not know.
Mm.
Sadly, I found when one thinks of export, his first thought goes to Dubai
Mm.
and last thought goes to USA and some African country, and knowledge ends there. If you
Right.
ask anybody, to my surprise, how many countries in the world are there, they will look at the Google, come out with the answer 195 countries. And
Mm.
that's the wrong answer. because India has diplomatic relation with 201 countries. So if the countries are 195, how do we have diplomatic relation with 201 countries? So total knowledge on international business environment is lacking.
Hmm.
Language barriers, because feel everybody knows English, which is not the case.
Hmm. Correct.
Then our economy is high cost of finance is high. Though now government is making effort to reduce the finance cost as far
Hmm.
as exports are concerned by having schemes like packing credit or interest subvention scheme and all those areas. And the biggest challenge that we international market as a marketer will face is the lack of volumes.
Hmm.
We have a wrong emphasis in planning a small scale industry.
Hmm.
Where we created manufacturing facility with small volumes,
Hmm.
boomerang big way in a big way in international market
Correct.
because it's a business of volumes. Because buyer is not buying to meet his personal requirement, he is buying probably to sell product in his country. And when it
Correct.
comes to volume, even in local market, you can see you ask anything. We talk of delivery period, 3 week, 4 week, 5 week. Probably buyer is prepared to pay your price, but he wants volumes, and which we are not in a position to offer.
Right.
Lastly, is lack of knowledge
Hmm.
about local rules and regulations, to which we made a reference about custom, foreign trade policy, etc. And
Correct.
when you are not aware about local rules and regulations, the compliance part in buying country again becomes a gray area for us.
Hmm.
So we think that buyer will inform us, but we do not bother. And when we don't ask buyer, feel that you know about it.
Yeah.
So most of the time, dispute between Indian exporter and buyer arises because of this particular area.
Very true, sir. So I think these problems, whatever you shared, are the real life problems which even I have heard across while discussing with many people. Again, this volume based. So I know of one paper mill, like
Yeah.
big paper mill of India.
Hmm.
They were expecting big order, but the volume which they were demanding in US was such a high volume.
Right.
पूरा उनका साल का भी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी नहीं था उतना वॉल्यूम इज व्हाट दे वर एक्सपेक्टिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ द
Right.
इंपोर्ट्स.
One shipment. Yeah.
Yeah, in one, well, like few shipments. Yeah, again I like a very raw question in the sense that, sir, you have been in this domain since almost 5 decades now in totality. Still, I don't know why it is happening that there is lack of knowledge on all these areas, most of the areas which you talked about. I think when you encounter people on a day-to-day basis, this is a common problem. Like, why is it that? Isn't that if I am into my own business, export business, wouldn't I take an interest that, okay, I need to know on top of everything, like as a basic understanding, or somebody who is appointed to do that task? So why is that lack of knowledge? Is that because of, no, I'm not able to figure out that problem? If you can
Like,
share your
see
thoughts.
that. Yeah. See, reason is today wrongly there is a lot of emphasis on outsourcing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what happens is when you outsource services of a person or an individual, then you outsource the knowledge also. We believe that because I am paying him, he is knowledgeable,
Okay.
right? So I need not worry about knowledge. So if I engage a customer's agent or CHA, he will take care of customer part. Why should I know about it? Or
Right.
if I engage a consultant on foreign trade policy, I believe that he is knowledgeable. But outsourcing function is one part, but
Hmm.
knowledge should be retained in the organization. Then you can monitor the quality of service rendered by your outsource agent or agency, whomsoever you give it. That
Hmm.
part is lacking. Another area which, or another reason which I can say is that in India, about law, there are two things. One is you have respect for law, other is you have fear of law.
Ah.
In India, as a DNA problem, we are never taught to respect the law. We are always taught to be afraid of the law. So legal areas like custom or foreign trade policy, when you talk about it, they say, "अरे छोड़ो
Hmm.
यार, वो theory है." Let us focus on
Hmm.
business. And to
Correct.
share my experience in the corporate even, import function or department is treated like a service department, equated at par with housekeeping, canteen, you know,
Yeah.
security, etc., etc. There is some faltu fellow is not wanted in any organized department, is in the import. So it is
Hmm.
treated as a cost center.
Hmm. Interesting.
Export is treated as
Hmm.
a superfluous area. That because we have to be in export, so there is an export. बाकी लोगों से तो चल रहा है, good profit is there. ठीक है,
Hmm.
for the sake of saying that, dinner party or cocktail party, I can say yes, I am also into export. So that
Yeah.
part comes.
Right. Interesting. So I think it's also about a big mindset change which has to happen in this
Total, total.
domain. Yeah. Right.
And as I said earlier, Neil, this has to be, at the grassroots level from the beginning when you start,
Yeah.
from academic level onwards. Even I find like interacting with NIFT, which is supposed to be a premier institute for international business purpose, what is relevant to Indian context is not taught.
Hmm. Correct.
Same
Correct.
happens in international marketing syllabi. If you look at it, many universities are conducting MIBM, Master in International Business Management. But again,
Hmm.
coverage on what is required for Indian marketer purpose or Indian exporter purpose, that
Correct.
coverage is not there.
Right. True. That's true, right? So I think no, again we have so many problems, but no, for today's context, sir, what are the tools or things which we can use or knowledge sets no available for an international market from India to succeed? I think that is what at least if they have some idea, so they can point or think in that direction.
See, firstly, we have to realize one thing that local business is contact based and
Hmm.
international business is knowledge based.
Hmm.
So you have to brush up your knowledge in all the domain areas,
Hmm.
right? About knowledge about marketing, buyer behavior abroad, channels of distribution, product knowledge,
Hmm.
so on and so forth. Secondly, part is we have to distinguish commodity and product. Sadly, we are still exporting commodities and not the
Comment.
product because price relation in product is much higher and the cost of converting commodity into a product is not that high. You
Hmm.
compare with the relation. And if you analyze our export figure, we are primarily into export of commodities only. The
Hmm.
thought of converting commodity into product has never asked.
Hmm.
Secondly, the lack of managerial support.
Okay.
Unless when if an organization really wants to succeed in export, the
Hmm.
managerial support from top has to come,
Hmm.
and which is generally lacking.
Hmm.
Then, we discussed in the beginning, then the key knowledge about areas and all that. Then also customer response. In India, in marketing, they say customer is a king. And
Hmm.
India, and I know, customer is a beggar. All customer care number, everything is there for formality's sake only. Otherwise, you are always a losing hand. Nothing
Hmm.
happens. Then another area which is lacking, which I find with our professors, is lack of reading habits.
Hmm.
Because international marketing scenario changes on day-to-day basis. So you have to be up to date. Then when the success comes with the professionals of the organization, management has to be delivered with the rewards.
Hmm.
Normally, you believe me, this is a orders are coming because of my reputation of the organization.
Hmm.
Fellow has hardly any contribution to make. That thinking with the management comes.
Right.
That competitive spirit is very much lacking.
Hmm.
So unless we develop competitive spirit like it is happening now in sports and other areas,
Hmm.
just a beginning you can say if you compare last 5 or 10 years, I think
Correct.
that kind of competitive spirit we have to develop
Okay.
even in international purpose.
Hmm.
And ultimately, we do not know our country's own culture, which influences our buying behavior. So when we go to a market, understanding, analyzing, and matching our product or marketing strategy with the buying culture of that country
Hmm.
becomes a big problem. So these are few areas which every management, every industrial marketer has to focus on. Like
Correct.
very simple example, I can just share with me, which was shared by late Shri Brahma Vastev, MD of Hawkins pressure cooker.
Okay.
That when we buy a cooker, fine, we look at the price, company's brand, touch the cooker, see what is the capacity and all that matter and there.
Hmm.
And he said first time when he got exposed to international marketing, he was granted a meeting by those days departmental stores used to be there in USA.
Hmm.
So he carried as per Indian habit, sample of the future model of pressure cooker. Thinking that buyer will have a look at it and he will decide to buy. And buyer said, no, I have seen it yesterday. Keep it down. Don't keep it on the table. And then
Okay.
he started asking, okay, what is the gauge of metal you have used in manufacture of this cooker? Then what is the bursting point of that metal? At what temperature handle will get hot? Here in India, to catch the handle, we would pick up a piece of the cloth and keep the thing down.
Yeah. Right.
So we say, what is the heat resistance of the bakelite which you have used?
Hmm.
Then in the on top that outlet is there to come out. How many wires you have used?
Hmm.
So none of those areas Indian customer will ever ask. So
Correct.
product knowledge of a very different kind for any product you offer, whether it
Hmm.
is a consumer goods, whether it is a industrial intermediate, or whether it is an industrial product.
Hmm.
Thorough product knowledge is
Hmm.
mandatory. So these are
True.
some key areas that we have to deal with.
Correct. And sir, with this leads me to the last question that have you seen or come across any such organization, or if you can share a case study or real life scenario where you find an organization ki they were not following something earlier, but after incorporating these areas, strengthening their knowledge, they were able to penetrate better and do best in the international market.
Yeah, this has come, in a very big way with merchant exporters.
Okay.
Huh. Because, see, what manufacturers don't realize is that there is a limit to what you can manufacture, but there is
Correct.
no limit to what you can market.
Correct. True.
So manufacturer always try to sell one product. What
Hmm.
is manufacturing we are comfortable with. In
Hmm.
India, our business, due to lack of competition, we are very much sold on the concept of Hamara line,
Right.
comfortable with a particular product.
True.
So unless we offer range of the product, and many
Hmm.
organizations have succeeded. That's why if you see the success story of organizations,
Hmm.
those organizations who are among manufacturers I am talking about,
Hmm.
those who are merchant come manufacturers,
Hmm.
they have succeeded in a big way.
Very nice. Okay,
But
interesting.
only manufacturers selling only their own product, they have a limited market
Hmm.
access. So
Interesting.
seriously, we have to think of diversifying the product range and come
Hmm.
out this, old thought of Hamara line.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's a great perspective because this normally manufacturers do not realize that okay, why they should diversify.
Right,
No, even to strengthen their product or to put their foot strongly on the ground, they need to add new products or value addition, or
right,
maybe different ranges which you had rightly mentioned. I think
right,
that, but again, this will also require a lot of understanding of the segment which you may be catering, like if you're catering to real estate segment or what sector, what
right,
country, again that requires a lot of
right,
knowledge, understanding of the industry and the
right.
country. Right. Right. Anything else that you would like to share? Actually, we are
Oh, I
nearing to the
think,
time, but you would like to
yeah,
share
yeah.
like final
I think nothing.
takeaways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think nothing, but I think whole thought process, particularly I am hopeful younger generation
Yeah.
should learn and adjust
Hmm.
according to the international business environment rather than
Right.
go on an inheritance basis.
Wow. That's true. I think there's lot to develop again with a lot of technology coming in place.
Right,
The younger people can add more value by under making use of the latest technology, integrating that with their business environment. So just last week on this podcast, we had a very young chap. He started his own e-commerce exports in his father's business, and
okay,
he succeeded well in, and he started his first export business at the age of 15.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think what you mentioned is very true, that with the traditional businesses and a lot of things happening, you,
right,
you need to change your context and perspective to gain the
right,
maximum. Yeah.
correct, correct.
And
You know,
last question, actually, I wanted to ask, but now, irrespective of time, 2 minutes only of yours. So, what are the financial takeaways? Because pricing, as you mentioned, is a very, very important aspect.
right,
What are
right,
the takeaways, financial takeaways for an international marketer to reduce the financial or the transaction cost of export?
right,
And also because international buyers may be needing the credit. So how to
right.
manage that expectation, because this is all linked together.
See, it is. I would say that again that on pricing part, very relevant question you asked. See, it happened that in India, in local market, the pricing is done by the manufacturer or seller. No, price is fixed by manufacturer or seller.
Hmm.
Where what we do is we approach, all the we add up all elements of cost, fixed cost, variable cost, then fixed overheads, variable overheads, elements of taxation like GST, etc., dealer distributor commission, margin of profit, and then you arrive at a price.
Correct.
What we have to realize is in international market, price is fixed by the buyer. So
Interesting.
simple formula like cost plus profit is equal to price. You have to move in a reverse way. That
Hmm.
price is fixed by the buyer. Now, how do you adjust the cost and make profit? And
Hmm.
there, this knowledge on the key knowledge as we talked about it, it
Yeah.
plays a very important part.
True.
So, like what we have to remember is that in international market, pricing is a process, is not an arithmetical exercise as we
Hmm.
do in local market. So one
Correct.
has to, as a marketer, one has to market or one has to acquire an in-depth knowledge on pricing mechanism, which is generally lacking. I
Very
just
true.
share a typical example what companies do when they want to export. Local price, they will convert into dollar,
Uh,
increase it by 10%, keeping it as a margin for negotiation.
true.
So if buyer has a price of $10 in mind, our supplier will quote a price of $30. Then we will say this fellow doesn't know process of international marketing. There's no
Hmm.
point in wasting time with him. I can't teach him, international marketing, international price. So he
Correct.
said, thank you very much. I'll get back to you. And the matter ends there.
Right. Very true. So, a very different example in my own experience. So, we got a game. I'm
Okay.
going on a very different lines, but very relevant to what you mentioned. So, our family we were traveling to US and we bought a game which was costing $50 around.
Right. Yeah.
But then in India, we tried to make a similar game, for
Mhm.
various reasons,
Right.
for our own personal purpose, actually, not
Right.
for no
Yeah.
marketing and cash.
Right.
We found the cost is hardly $5 to $7.
Right.
No, and also even if we add few some margin to it, it won't exceed $20.
Right.
But then the price at which it is sold in the international marketing, the quality, the sustainability was much higher
Right.
than what was a packaged product available in the international market. So I
Right.
think this is a very important takeaway, that price in the international market is determined by the buyer,
Mm.
and cost plus profit is not what is there in the
Right. Right.
international market.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for your sharing your insights on this topic. We'll have to have you more and more in our upcoming
Sure.
episodes,
Sure.
and our audience, I'm sure, would benefit a lot with your insights. Thank you for sparing your time with us. And would you like to share anything, what we have been doing and your suggestions on the podcast series we are doing? Yeah.
Right. Okay, we'll discuss some time about it, not
Right.
waste our
Yeah.
participants' time.
Yeah.
So thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Chaitanya. Thank you very much, Minal, and my participant friends. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, audience, we will come back to you next week, 5 p.m. same time. Until then, please watch out the space for what the next topic is and who our next speaker would be. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.